Hey everyone, welcome back to the AV Playground. Welcome back to another VHS related video. And as we are reaching the end of the year of 2025, I gotta say, this was a great year to get back into VHS, the format of my early childhood, my toddler years. And this is all I had in my bedroom until the early 2000s when we switched to DVD. It was this and probably some cable TV here and there. These VHS tapes. I mean, this is actually one of my favorite movies growing up in the 90s. Or being born in the 90s. This was my favorite movie because of Woody and Buzz. I mean, I have a whole bunch of movies. So I started collecting these in the summer and really started to collect them for the rest of the year. I mean, I've gotten so many VHS tapes. The big collection was we got a box full of Disney movies for $100 at the thrift store. The rest were just a few here and there. And then after I got the VCR, my Panasonic PV 9451 4-head hi-fi stereo VCR, I started to really get more VHS tapes like Peter Pan, the Mary Martin version, which is the musical from the 50s or 60s. Another copy of A Bug's Life and Toy Story, Little House on the Prairie, Santa Claus, Mr. Holland's Opus, Six Pack, La Bamba, Hook, E.T. Just to name a few that I was given from my aunt. I even was given this movie from my aunt, but her copy was moldy, which she found at a thrift store, and it was moldy. I guess it was not really cared for all that much. So I went on eBay and found a brand new copy and arrived last night. And the experience of watching something so simple as a VHS tape. I mean, it really adds to the experience of watching a movie and picking out something and really watching the movie. I mean, there's a lot of us who collect VHS tapes and watch these tapes because a lot of it is for nostalgia. Maybe the parents of some of these younger kids don't want them having too much screen time. So we go back to something simple as a VHS tape. For me, it's just for nostalgia, going back to my childhood and my toddler years of, back in the 90s. From the time I was born to the time I was 5 years old, it was all VHS. These things were so durable growing up as a toddler of the 90s, from 94 to 99, and maybe into my actual childhood at age 6 and age 7, back in 2000, 2001, until we moved up to DVD at age 8 for me, and then, of course, age 20 was Blu-ray, and 23 was 4K Blu-ray. And I haven't watched a VHS tape in forever. So once I got back into getting into VHS tapes, the nostalgia just hit me. And just remembering the simple times watching a movie on VHS like Toy Story over and over again, and having to rewind the tape, putting it back in. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, it's incredible. As a toddler of the 90s, this is what I mainly grew up with, was videotapes. I was going to continue watching these tapes, but my mom, I guess, insisted of moving up to DVD in 2002 when we got our, Xbox. So we got the Xbox DVD playback kit, and I didn't even know what that was because I was so used to these tapes. But getting back into VHS, it's been an incredible experience. even getting into buying a VCR to watch these tapes on. And also going back to watching my mom's old home movies from the 90s and early 2000s on VHS, the way they were meant to, it really, looks natural. But recording it on DVD, there's a lot that could go wrong with a DVD compared to the actual VHS tape. Especially if it's stored properly for so many years. I mean, we won't have to worry. But yeah, VHS tapes have literally changed my life. Especially with movies like La Bamba, one of my favorite movies from the 80s that I started watching this year. And I went on eBay and I found the VHS tape because I knew that it was going to last on Paramount Plus. So I found a VHS copy of La Bamba so I can watch it anytime I want. Regardless of if it's going to be on streaming or not. So if we look up the movie La Bamba, if we look up La Bamba movie and go to watch movie, yep, it's only available for purchase. YouTube, Google Play Movies and TV if that's still around. Apple TV, Fandango at Home, Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's only available to purchase, but it's a good thing I have the VHS tape. Movies on streaming don't last forever. There's a lot of movies on here that aren't available on streaming or another format. Like the Disney sing-along songs, Happy Haunting. Next year, I'm going to try to get more sing-along songs on videotape, like Disneyland Fun and Beach Party at Walt Disney World, so I can relive the sing-along songs I remember I grew up watching back in the day, and also get back to rewatching a lot of the movies I purchased this year, but also want to watch again next year. But the Christmas movies will have to be put in storage until next Christmas. So we'll watch a lot of the year-round stuff for next year, 2026. But the overall experience of watching a VHS tape this year really brought back some 90s nostalgia for me. It brought me back to my childhood. Starting my childhood in the 90s and going to the early 2000s. And it just took me back to when I was young, watching movies on VHS tape, going to the movies, going to the local Blockbuster, renting a movie on a weekend, especially when I didn't have, to do my homework for another day or so. We would rent a movie and we would bring it home, watch it, and have a movie night. This was kind of an emphasis on family movie night because a lot of us didn't have VCRs, in our bedrooms, but a lot of us did, or some of us did. There's some people who didn't. So VHS was part of the family movie night, having a family movie night, and picking out a movie together and really spend some time as a family watching movies on videotape. And a lot of us still like that warm, pure analog sound and that analog video, even though it's fuzzy and may lacking quality these days. There's something about a VHS tape that really makes everything worthwhile, and it really gets us into the movie because we're watching the tape. You know, we have to. It really allows us to watch movies all the way through from start to finish, even with the previews. And that really adds to nostalgia right there. Adding previews before the movie. And there's a lot of us who actually did, skip the previews, but there's a lot of people who watch the previews. It really helped a lot of kids my age have a glimpse of what movies were coming out on in theaters, on VHS. It really adds to that nostalgia. And of course, the durability, having a plastic shell that you can hold, and hold it however you would like. And you can stick them wherever you want. I just love how durable these things really are. So if we take a look at the VHS tape for Toy Story, it may look perfect, but there's a lot of scratches on the shell. And when you pop it in, it still works perfectly. It still works flawless because the movie is protected by this plastic shell. You slide it in and away you go. I like that. I love how durable VHS tapes really were compared to other formats. I've had a lot of DVDs scratch over the years, especially DVD-Rs, because they were not protected. Blu-rays, I've never had a Blu-ray scratch on me because I guess they've always been protected from the, in the Blu-ray case. But there's a lot compared to the durability of the VHS tape. Even though the more you watch a videotape, the worse it gets. But it's all worth it in the end. Just, getting into videotapes this year, it really adds to nostalgia for me. As someone who was born in the 90s, spent their toddler years in the 90s, and spent the first 2 years of their actual childhood in the early 2000s when these things were still popular. But I can't remember the first time we didn't buy VHS tapes at all. I don't think we bought many VHS tapes in the 2000s. I mean, it had to have been by the mid 2000s that we stopped collecting these things and moved up in the world. And now we don't have physical media at all due to the rise in popularity of streaming, which isn't the best at all. I mean, there's a lot of movies that I have on VHS tapes, and watching these things is an experience that cannot be matched by other formats, especially streaming. And I just love the feel of owning a copy of a movie on VHS. But I can't wait to see what lies ahead for 2026 when it comes to continuing my VHS journey. But 2025 was definitely my year of getting into VHS tapes and really start collecting my childhood VHS tapes again. Well, movies I had as a kid in the 90s and 2000s, and really start reliving that nostalgia. That 90s nostalgia. So if you guys enjoyed it, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.